Austria. Let's see how well they're doing, these guys. By the graphic, gonna see already hit the peak in the population, and also the growing rate is pretty much all over the place, but it kind of goes down on the overall goal. Now, back in 1955, there used to be 7 million people, and now around 9.1, 9.2 million people. But you can see here from 2024, they actually go down. So let's say immediately after, let's say pandemic ended, they start going down. You can see in migration, they have some years when they actually are more migrants than the overall net growing. And keep in mind, that means clearly the population is getting replaced by the migrants, and also that doesn't get in a calculation. Let's take someone much closer. Let's see this one. See, you have 40,000 people migrants, and then you have an increase in 55,000 people. Well, that doesn't mean, or usually, let's say, that all of those are from the native population. It could be from the other migrants, let's say, decided to have kids, and now they are, let's say, first generation kids there born from the migrant parents. In other cases, you can see when you have less, also you can see, let's talk this one, you have 8,000 migrants, but you have a total decrease of, let's say, 10,000. Well, that migrants sometimes can be higher because you can have even native Austrian leaving the country, and you see that even lower with the population. Then you have the migrants that it's 8,000, and the total it's minus 9,000. See, so we can have different calculation here. But now we're gonna look about the growing rate. Back then used to be 0.03, so not that much actually, and now it's 0.08 on minus. So you can see they go up and down pretty much, and the yearly change at back then used to be 2,000. At the peak, I think they were around, okay, this with migrants, 71,000. Now it's on a minus. Even they have a lot of migrants. Even in 2022, probably a lot of them they were Ukrainians. They have a boom of migration in 2022, and also that famous 2015. A lot of migrants here. The median age back then used to be 35, which is actually pretty old even for the European standards, and now it's 44 years old. Fertility rate 2.2, 2.3, now 1.3. Probably it's actually much lower than that, but you can see they got below replacement in 1975, so from quite a while. You can see that's why they're still importing a lot of migrants there. Urban area, check this one. Urban population back then 1955, 65%, let's call it, and now 2025, 58, 60%, let's call it. So actually you're gonna see in a very developed country like Austria, the population moving out of the city. So clearly they're not that well suited, especially in the future. I would say in Austria can actually prove that that the life in a city is not the perfect, it's not the best. It might be actually the opposite. Even with Austria, which you have pretty good city, I would say, they have, I would say, good transportation, good stores, good hospital, good all that stuff that you need, schools and stuff like that. So, and then with all that, people still are choosing. And keep in mind, the population are going down. They have sometimes, let's call it, when they can see a minor increase over the time, but overall from 1955 it's a decrease, and probably I would say the trend would continue, but we'll see how well they're gonna do in the next few years. In the future now, well, you can see here 2050 8.7 million, so clearly on the decreasing population. Yearly change is going bigger and bigger, I would say, and you can see here they already have more migrants than actually the native population, which is huge. The native populations will be much lower than the migrants. Probably with migration they should stop around 1,000 people per year. I would say that would be a decent number for them. Just choose whatever the best you want, and that's it. In this rate, they're not gonna get 100% replaced, but they're gonna seriously walking on that road. Median age 45 in 2030, but by 2050 it's gonna be around 50 years old, so pretty high, I would say. Fertility rate, they're gonna go a bit up, but not by much. Here they say the urban population is gonna increase at 72%. Now, when you have these trends like that, and you see what bad things the Austrian government did in the pandemic with the lockdowns, I would say even you have those numbers with migrants in the cities and the native population 100% is going to move on the countryside, or this number is going to be adjusted with time. Probably is going to go actually lower than it is today. Today is at 58. I would say probably it's going to be like 50%. Depends also how they count this urban population. If you have a very small town, which is my country, it's pretty much considered a village, but it's well maintained, let's say, and you have that countryside vibe, and they count it as an urban area, yeah, that's a different discussion. But most likely I would say people are gonna start living in those small communities in a countryside. Even they decided, the government is gonna decide to just include them in the urban area, that's one thing, but most likely the lifestyle is gonna be much more closer to the countryside lifestyle, I would say. Life expectancy in Austria pretty high. 82 years old for both sexes, female 85, males 8 years old, not that much difference on the rise. Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. Infant mortality rate 2.5, which is very good. Death under age of 5, 3.3, which is a bit high from a country like that. I expected to get to see 2.5. Anything below 3 is great. In a demographic pyramid, look at this. Clearly you're gonna have, again, Austria, it's one of those countries when the males are much more many, especially by the age of 45, than females. So you have a male surplus here, but you can see the pyramid starts to shake in and most likely those lines is going to go more inward. They need to go down in population. Probably, like I say, Austria is going to be great for a population of 1 million people. That would be awesome to live there. Even now it's not that bad. You're going to see it later in this video how they're living, but not also something extremely well done, I would say. Total fertility rate in 1900, look at this, 4.3. So they have a period when they actually have a lot of kids, but they got the below replacement for the first time. Let me check this one. In 1933, then they got around 1945, obviously, but then they commit to that unreplacement population around 1973, and then they keep that way. And in the future, probably it's going to be again the same. Population, you can see not that huge changes. I would say they stay around 6-7 million people, and now they are around 9, and probably, like I said, this number in 1950 is going to be 8.7. Probably is going to be below 8, so we're going to see go back around 7.5, I would say, back in the 1980s population, 1975, around that, which is decent. Like I say, it doesn't mean you have loose population, and it goes older. It doesn't mean that it's gonna be a total disaster. Europe right now, like I said, they don't innovate that much in many fields, and they have a lot of bureaucracy and laws, so they're gonna need a change in that first, and then they're gonna see again one of those huge boom in the world stage ranking, let's call it like that. Now the economic is pretty good even in Austria. That's why you see a lot of migrants. They're going there. I'm not sure if you have some more data on there. Look at it. Even my people here, they're just gonna go on the second place after the Germans. So yeah, they're gonna see a lot of migrants there. They're doing well in the economic area. Now, how well is gonna be the life there for a migrant when you have to pay all those huge rents? What kind of work you're gonna find? That's a whole different discussion. When you choose to leave to leave your country to, let's say, working and living in Austria, you're gonna go there to just work, take the money and come back home, or just gonna commit to the lifestyle and gonna stay there and gonna move there. I think Austria has one of those toughest policies to become a citizen. If I don't mistake, it was something like you have to live there for 50 years, something like that. I don't know if I'm mistaken, but that is one of those tough countries that you get full citizenship. Now, main export obviously is going to be Germany, and main imports also Germany. They export a lot of them in the United States, Italy, Switzerland, France, and Hungary, but also they import a lot from Germany. They import more than actually export. Italy, they import around 5.8, but they export 6.2, so it's a good deal for the Austrian people. Switzerland 5.5, Czech Republic 4.4, and Netherlands 4.2. Now, like I say, economics is just numbers here. We're going to talk about money. You have to talk about exactly how well do you living there, and you're going to see that in a minute. As a position geographically, I would say they wasn't one of those Soviet or communist countries, so they dodged the bullet there. Let's call it like that. But yeah, you're gonna see in an architecture and how exactly they live. Probably, I would say now, Vienna it's one of those east cities, east capital in the country. But probably you're gonna get more closer to the Liechtenstein, Switzerland, northern Italy, southern Germany. Probably this area right here is gonna get, I would say, much richer. I'm not sure, or at least looking better. Who knows? Than the East Austria, which is closer to those communist states, former communist states. Now we're gonna see that in a minute, but overall geographically, there is I don't think the Austria it's in NATO, it's in European Union, but I don't think that also in the NATO alliance. So yeah, with that probably it's gonna join. Who knows? But not that many people, like I say, 9.1 million people. Who knows? A lot of them are migrants. Who knows actually how they calculate those numbers? Like I said, probably it's much lower because you can see they have a low fertility rate for a while for the native population. They also you're gonna see in the future that start when they say yearly change and it's going lower and lower by every year, so you're gonna lose much more population with every single year. They rely heavy on the migrants, I would say, especially probably for those jobs that nobody does. We're gonna see with the AI and the robotics taking off how well this migrants policy is gonna be, because for the European, especially European Union, the only way, the only reason that they allowed migrants in their countries is just because they want to keep low wages. So we're gonna see if you have to, let's say, choose between a robot who you don't pay any wages whatsoever, just some regular maintenance, and a migrant that you have to, let's say, give him a house, give him a medical care, and all that stuff. Probably you're gonna see in the next 25 years heavy cattle migration in Europe, I would say. So we're gonna see how that is gonna play in the future. Now let's look just really briefly at the history. Well, the Austrian Empire, everybody knows, was a big power in Europe at some point. They were, look at this, part of the Roman Empire. So clearly they get some mark. From the first time we can see Kingdom of Hungary. I'm looking for the first time when I see the Austrian on the map. Let's see if I'm not mistaken. I just saw something with Austria, and this is Austria in 1156 for the first time. So clearly more than 1,000 years, more than 1,000, almost 1,000 years of Austrian. Look at this Austrian Empire they have. So clearly there was at some point a huge power, I would say, in this region. But then we can see pretty much remain the same as we know today, especially for the last 100 years. I think it's with some differences. Look at this, when they joined the Germany. But yeah, overall that is the Austria. Now let's just look exactly how those people living. And I'm gonna start, you can see a lot of those lines. I have to be careful not to go outside the border. Let me check again. This one, yeah, like I said, randomly on the map. Let's see, even in the cities, even in the countryside, how those people live in the small towns, how well the country looks. This one looks pretty nice, I would say, for the randomly on the map. I want to see in the countryside how the road are keeping up. So yeah, it's pretty nice. This look pretty much like an Eastern European, let's say, on the more on the west coast, on the west line. So nothing, like I say, probably we're gonna go with the closer to Germany, it's closer to the Switzerland. You're gonna see much more improvement. But even here you can see nice, they take care of the housing. This one, let's say, it's in construction, so I'm not gonna say anything about that. But even in those small villages, they're still doing well. This is probably the capital, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, let's check it real quick. Let's see how well they're doing even there in the city. Like I say, in the pandemic, everybody remembers the lockdown and how everybody was angry about the government, and they got away with it, so I have to mention that too. But yeah, overall in the cities you can see it's a pretty relaxed life. What year is it? 2019, so clearly nobody even thought the pandemic was possible. Now 5 years later in 2024. Yeah, it doesn't look like much is changed. Have nice streets. Like I say, when you have not that many people in the country and a decent economy, it's gonna be much easier to, in my opinion, let's say, to have people that actually living better. I don't know why you're gonna make a 360 in your apartment. I'm not interested in that. Probably just wanna rent them or something. 2024, the cars on the street are pretty new, I would say. So yeah, clearly they have some money to just change their cars, I would say. It's not it's something that I'm personally I looking at that when I looking at those street views maps. See how old is the cars. It's gonna show how how well people are doing. Not a very serious metric, but still, it just tells you a story. Let's go on the other side of the river. Now clearly you're gonna see some bad areas here. I'm not gonna stay here and look for them, but yeah, you can bet they are. It's not like in New Zealand when it's extremely tough to find one, which I didn't find it, by the way. Now let's move on the west side of the country and let's see how well this guy doing, or at least how different they're doing. Now here is going to be much higher in the mountains, so different landscapes. A classic Austrian, let's say, landscapes, and just happen to just go in that guy yard, probably still for renting. Now it looks nice, I have to say. A different story but from what we saw in Vienna. Obviously that was a big city, this one small towns. They don't seem, that's a nice house. I don't like with multiple level house, but at least it's a house for a apartment building. Could be an apartment building, I don't know. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. But again, small town, probably you 100% you're gonna need a car to just travel to the center of the town to buy whatever you need. Let's check this one. In this western part of the country, it seems like there are a lot of small, those village Alps type of towns. Not bad actually to live your life. I didn't check the elevation, but we're gonna go back to that. Let's go really close now. Let's go here. Let's see how exactly they live in this part of the town. Oh, we have some hills there. That was something interesting to see. Yeah, the roads pretty nice. Cars, it's 2023 and pretty much every single one of them, they look new. Clean streets. Yes, it is pretty much very. Let's check these hills ones. Let me check this one real quick because it looks nice here to just have a house even here in the hills of the Alps. It looks something interesting. This one doesn't do so well and it's taking care of them. This is the fire department, which is kind of interesting to see it. Yeah, they have bus, so clearly they have bus that's actually taking people around. Now, like I say in my old video, every time I see those woods, when you hit your home with wood, it's not a good sign of very advanced civilization, I would say. So clearly, even in my parents' house now, I'm looking for installing a heat pump. They're using gas for heating the house and the water, so I want to switch that as fast as possible. I wait for just a little bit more improvement in the technology, but then I'm gonna make the switch because it's much better, I would say. Yeah, living in those small villages clearly is nice, and we have right here even the bigger cities. When I say we can have a big centers, you can travel. This apartment, it's absolutely horrible building. It looks like something from the Soviet Union. This, I don't know what is this one, but it's closed, so I'm not gonna judge it that much. Yeah, this pretty much looks like a center. They have Hofer, which is look like Aldi to me. Maybe just change the name. Yeah, clearly nice place to live, but not in those apartments clearly, and not even in this area. That in the hills right there is gonna be a much better choice. Now here it's a border, which is not that much of the border, I would say, but again, they are in Schengen area, so they're not here. Now let's move in the middle grounds. Let's check this town right here. I don't know exactly what town it is, but it looks pretty big. Yeah, I like when they cover the cars for the sun especially, and also from a hailstorm and stuff like that. It's just taking care of the car much better. Now we have a leader. This one, I don't like this building. That one I kind of missed. They have a lake here. And yeah, and Austria is one of those low-land countries, so they don't have an opening to a sea. So they have to adjust on that. Let's see how nice the life is here on the beach. Yeah, not exactly a beach. It's pretty much concrete. I don't like that when they have this much concrete. And probably they don't allow you to swim, which is fucked up, I would say. But maybe if we go in those more remote, and clearly those looks like a private property to me, and it's even a private road, I'm probably gonna be allowed to swim in those areas. But there, yeah, I mean, I get it in some point, but still fucked up. Not be allowed to swim, come on. It's the best thing that you're living on the lake. What else you should do? You have to go to swim. They don't have a lot of islands, beach, sand beaches, but pretty nice, I would say. It looks still nice. Yeah, it is nice. Nice area to live. Not as western probably as you might want or expect, but here clearly it's much lower ground than actually going in the mountains. So who knows, maybe gonna be actually better. Let's check this. So yeah, overall they live great lives. Clearly, they nothing to complain, I would say. But there's still room to improve. If they fix I have a friend that just got there, I think last year. I don't remember exactly. And you see a lot of migrants from the Middle East, and it doesn't feel like you are actually in Austria. It feels like you are in Syria, Egypt, or something like that. So that's something to keep in mind. So clearly, if they cut down on migration and they just pretty much improve their, let's say, local population life, probably, and keep their tradition and values much more tight than they do it today, probably it's going to be a much better country. But like I say, it's room to improve. You have to have some migration, but like I say, if you limit, let's say, migration to 1,000 people per year, and you choose only the best that you actually want, because you have a lot to offer. Clearly, in a country like this, it's nice to live. It's not like an Eastern European country, so people are gonna want to live here. You're gonna have demand for people to come in your country, and you choose the best. Choose the best engineers, best doctors. But now, see, there's a thing when you choose engineers, because you have to improve in those AI, I would say, in robotics fields. And country like Middle East and Arab countries, they don't have pretty much zero experience in that department. The only one that I would say they have a part of experience in that is gonna be Americans and Chinese. And I'm not sure how you're gonna how much you're gonna attract from those two countries. But yeah, there is, I would say, some possibility in some area, but you have to, like I say, improve your local population level of living, and most likely you're gonna develop some talents inside your country. You don't have to import it for someone else. And like I say, with those advanced robotics, even European Union and European countries gonna move away from migrations, and they're gonna go back to just taking care of their own people inside their own borders. So this phase with migration, especially with the tides changing in Europe right now, with the left pretty much is gonna be, I don't want to say dissolved, but reduced to a way smaller scale, which is they don't have any power whatsoever in the next 15 years, I would say. You're gonna see that trend already begun, I would say, in some countries, and others gonna follow. So yeah, right now I think in every year there are around 1 point something million people migrants in Europe, which is a huge number. Probably they have to reduce that to 100,000 people from the first stage, and then we're gonna see where they're gonna go from there. But yeah, back to Austria. Yeah, it's nice. Like I say, it's not nothing to complain. Like I said, we see probably the medical system is great. The school system also is gonna be good. With like I said, with what happened in pandemic, that's something to worry about a lot, I would say, and also with the migrants, how many they can actually allow it to come. Otherwise, yeah, pretty good. Economics, I think they're doing well. They have to fix like every other country is fixing their housing market. Just stop milking those people from money just because they need a home. Fix the job market also. Clearly, reduce the migration. The population is going down, so clearly there is room for young people, I would say, to just taking good jobs, but we're gonna see how well they're gonna get paid. But yeah, otherwise Austria looks great, even for vacations, even for moving there, I would say, especially if you are, let's say, from Germany or Switzerland. It's not a bad place to live there, let's say. Yeah, so that was the video about Austria. Nothing bad, let's say, to report, except the migration and pandemics. But like I say, housing market and job market is pretty much like any other country, so they have a lot of room to improve there. But we're gonna see how that is gonna play in the next few 5 years, a decade, who knows. We're gonna see how well they're gonna do in that department, especially with the AI and robotics advance. And keep in mind, the dream always was to just not working and do whatever makes you happy and have robots to work for you. But that transition period is going to be tough, 100% sure, for every single one of us. I'm going to see how well the government are going to make that transition faster and easier.